Now, we've all been told just how unsustainable our day-to-day lives can be, and no greater example than the cars we use for personal transportation. That's why the car makers came up with their solution for a cleaner world: electric vehicles, just like this Mini Electric, which I'll be driving for the next few days to find out what it would be like if you decide to ditch petrol and diesel today. Now, the main factor to consider when looking at electric cars, and the main point of contention, is the range. Mini says this car can do around 145 miles under optimal conditions. That's the most it can do. In reality, that number is always going to be lower, but to be fair, that's the same across any manufacturer. So in the real world, you're unlikely to get to that number, but it's how close to that number you can get that really matters. The supermarket is a great place to stop the car, charge it while you do something else, and then by the time you come back, you'll have a little bit more power. Trouble is, none of the supermarkets near me actually have a charger. So what I'll have to do is go to another one, which isn't my first choice, and it's a little bit further away. It's not the end of the world, but it does mean that if I were to own this electric car permanently, I would start going further away just so I could top it up. So I've finally arrived at the charging point, and I've got the app that this particular service requires. It's called Pod Point. That's B-side. Charge confirmed. That was much easier than I thought it would be. It was just a matter of finding out which service provider owned this particular charging point, downloading the app, registering, choosing the point, plug in, and that's it. And I don't believe I am even going to be paying anything for it, because apparently some of them are free. So I don't think that could have been easier. If I turn it on, it went from 71 to 88% in around about an hour, which isn't too bad. So the reason why I had to plug the car into the charging point at the supermarket is because I live in a flat, which means I don't have a driveway and I can't charge the car while it's parked at home. Now that means I'm always reliant on the public charging network. Today that wasn't an issue because I only did a few dozen miles. But if I were to rely on an electric car to go to work and back and to do the shopping and a few other things that are part of the daily life, I'm not so sure I'd be happy with an electric car without a charger at home. If you can't charge at home and you have to plan your day around where you'll charge the car, that starts to really shift your life, perhaps more than you would like a car to shift your life. So it's going to be slightly different today. No more than 30 miles, I don't think. So I've been sat in London rush hour traffic for the past 35 minutes or so. And funnily enough, I think this is where electric cars can really, really excel, because they're just so much simpler and so much more pleasant to operate. And I think that's not just because the car is automatic, obviously, so I'm not messing around with gears. It's also the smoothness and the quietness of not having a petrol or diesel engine. It's just a case of pressing the throttle pedal when you need to creep forward and just kind of letting go when you need to slow down. I don't think it gets a lot more relaxing than this if you have to drive through rush hour traffic. Okay, so it's a new day, which means another short trip around town. Only about 20 miles I'll do today. Now, I don't think I feel range anxiety yet, because I know the car has plenty of miles in it, but I do find myself planning, which didn't really happen before. I couldn't really tell you how many miles I did a day. So there's an extra layer of kind of preparation involved. With 49% of the battery left, all the errands are done for today. Since I'm not expecting to use the car anymore today, I thought I'd leave it charging for a few hours in the nearest charging point to my house. Now, I went on Zap Map and found the nearest one. There it is there, where I am just now. But the trouble is, it belongs to Source London. The issue with that is I have Polar Plus, which is the largest network of
public chargers in the country. It's all well and good being the largest network, but if the chargers closer to my house do not belong to this service that I subscribe to, then what's the point? To be fair, this does give you access to a very, very large network indeed, all across the country. So I suppose this is one of the most reliable ones if I'm doing longer journeys as well. But then that would mean I also have to subscribe to Source London. So in this situation, I am just going to find the nearest Polar Plus charger and just have to leg it home from there. So to do that, I've had to install yet another app. That's the third one and counting. I suppose this one would be the closest one. So that's actually the slowest type of charger there is, but it will have to do.
Here we go, we're approaching where the charger is supposed to be. I think it's a car park. I can't quite believe I might have to pay to use the car park so I can charge my car through a subscription service. That unlocks a 3-pin socket. So it will be completely charged at 2:25 AM, which is slightly annoying. So it's a new day, about 7:30 in the morning right now, and I'm walking for about 10 minutes to go and get the car from the charging point where I left it charging overnight. And I am really wishing I had a home charger right now. I could think of plenty of other things I'd rather be doing at 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday. There we go, 100%. So that overnight stay ended up costing me £22.10. So I suppose that's the price of not planning your charging properly and just rushing into the nearest and quickest solution. So I still have about 95% of the battery left, but I'm gonna need it because today I'm going to a village in the Cotswolds, which is about 72 miles away from where I am right now. And it means I'll have to get on the motorway for quite a while. So I need to do some planning. So according to ZapMap, I can go and come back, stopping only once on the way back to charge it at a rapid charger, which means it's going to be much faster than all the other ones. And I'll definitely want to choose that one because it means I'll have to wait less time for the car to charge so I can make it back home. The reason why I'm not charging in Burford is because there are no chargers. There's only one actually, and it's reserved for hotel guests. Just before I set off, there's a couple of things I can do to make sure that I go as far as I can on this battery. So I've got 95% and 111 miles according to the trip computer. But I can put it into green mode or green plus mode. What this is going to do essentially is control the way the vehicle responds to how I drive it so that I'm saving as much battery as I can. Right, I think that's everything. So off we go. So an hour and a half later, here I am. I've arrived at the village and I'm actually really impressed with the way the car battery performed. Because when we set off, I had about 111 miles. We did 72 miles and now it's saying I have 40 miles left. So that's actually exactly right on the dots, which is really impressive, considering that I was always driving at the speed limit. So I'm done in the village now, which means it's time to make my way back. One thing that is concerning me is the fact that I couldn't check via the app whether someone was charging their car on that particular charger. I've arrived, now looking for the rapid charger. Oh God, please be free. Oh, I see it. I see it. No one's using it. Whew, okay. Scan it. Card is being checked. Card accepted. Let me grab this, which is different. Yellow light means it's charging. I've just noticed the light's gone off, which is not a good sign. And now suddenly the charger is out of use. I don't know why that is. It's time for plan B. I have about 30 miles supposedly left and 29% on the battery.
Okay, so what we're looking at now are all of the rapid chargers around me. Now, I thought I could go to this one, which is only about 7 miles away, but it's in the opposite direction I want to go in. So I decided to go to Abingdon there, and I thought I'd go there because if there's some issue with that, or if they're all taken up, at least there's 2 more I could perhaps drive to.
Okay, so I've been driving very, very slowly, 50 miles per hour on the motorway, which I do not like doing. It says I am on 22%. Definitely feeling range anxiety right now, even though 22% might be a lot for those who are used to electric cars. For someone who's new to them like me, definitely a cause for concern. In reality, I'm far from losing power. That's what's annoying. I know I'm not going to lose power. I still have 22% left, but it's still at the back of my mind. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yes, charging point. Bad news. There's only one rapid charger that fits this car, and it's being used by that one. This is a bother. There's no other word to describe it. Just as I finished recording that, the car next to me is leaving. 50 code. So this is the rapid charger, this one. So grab this one. And here we are, quick charging active. I am slightly concerned the same thing is going to happen, but as we can see, 4:15 completely charged, considering it's 3 o'clock now. So while I'm sat here waiting, I guess I might as well draw some conclusions. So lesson number 1, if I'm doing more than 100 miles a day, I want to make sure that there's a charger at my destination. And if not, like it was the case today, I want to be really comfortable with knowing where the chargers are in that area. Because as we saw today, things can go wrong very quickly, chargers becoming suddenly unavailable. Lesson number 2, it would be great to carry around some books and magazines in the car, because this is, I guess, a great time to catch up on reading. I should have done that. Lesson number 3, it's very important when planning your day to take into account how long you'll actually be stopped and charging. It might seem obvious, but it's not something that we're used to thinking about. So I'm at 94%, 52 minutes, which should be enough. That gives me about 110 miles. While I was waiting for the car to charge, I was actually doing some calculations, because there's a huge benefit which sometimes isn't taken seriously enough. So this trip originally would have been about 140 miles long, give or take. For a normal car of this size, which emits about 100 grams of carbon dioxide per kilometer, that would have been about 23 kilograms of carbon dioxide emitted into the atmosphere. And that's a harmful gas, obviously. With this one, 0, because it's electric. There's no tailpipe emissions. I can be the first one to argue that the way forward for a cleaner world is actually making sure that the energy that's produced to then power these cars is clean. But when it comes to individual actions and making sure that our day-to-day lifestyles pollute less, then 23 kilograms of carbon dioxide that I would have emitted today, that I'm not emitting because I'm driving an electric car, I'd say that makes a small difference. Small, but important difference. The other benefit, of course, is how much money I saved on fuel. It would have cost me about £20 in petrol to do that journey, and with an electric car it was just a couple of pounds, and that's because I used a rapid charger. Had I used a slower charger, it would have been free, most likely. So it's now a couple days later. The car is actually going back today after about a week and around 290 miles done on it. And I have to say, I found that 110, 120 miles was plenty of range to get me around town and to do 90% of the things that I needed to do. But that's my specific usage. I suppose each person needs to think about their own case when they're considering an electric vehicle. So for example, are you going to do more than 100 miles every day? And if so, do you have charging points between those 100 miles? They are extremely pleasant to drive. And this Mini is obviously no exception. Apart from being a very fun car to drive as well, it's incredibly smooth, it's quiet, it's probably the most relaxing way to be stuck in traffic as well.
So I really, really enjoy that aspect of it. But I think where they really excel today is as a car to use around town that you never have to fill up on petrol or on diesel. And as well a car where you know you're making a difference to your local area. And you know that your individual day-to-day use of private transportation is that little bit cleaner.